Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hey Ditto Podcast. Today, we're joined by the OmniAura team here at Hey Ditto, and we are going to be taking a look at some questions, and we're going to be answering them, and we're going to be drawing them out here on this Excalibur tool. It's a great program, and we're happy to have you here. So let's get started. So we're looking at the future of AI companions for our first topic. So we're looking at what differentiates Ditto from other AI assistants. How does persistent memory influence user experience in AI? And what are the biggest challenges in making AI companions truly personal and proactive? So let's dive right into that, guys. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Um, yeah, there are a lot of challenges in making AI companions truly personal and proactive. One problem that comes to mind is the data problem and the size problem. So, when we think about personal assistants, we want something to remember us for not just, a couple weeks or, the last 15 messages. We want something that can hold a context of many years of a relationship with this thing. And the LLMs, the large language models on the other side, they can't hold all of that inside of their context. So you have to find creative ways to compress the information, but also to equip your agent, which is Ditto, with the tools that it needs to be able to find the information that you truly need to have the best response for any of your questions. So I think it's
Exactly.
really about smart data retrieval. Yeah, take this, Omar.
Yeah, no, and also just to add even more to that, what differentiates Ditto from other AI assistants is more than just the memories. It's also the way that you interact with Ditto. The upfront most likely use case that someone uses something like an LLM tool like ChatGPT or Gemini is to solve an immediate problem where you can very much carry a normal conversation out with ChatGPT or Gemini. That's just one of its 3,000, features that are built into their capabilities. But Ditto's core feature and core use case is conversation. So what you'll immediately notice if you use Ditto as your conversational, long-term best friend, you'll immediately notice the difference in how it behaves and how it remembers things, the way it pulls memories, the way it draws parallels to from your personality into the way it responds in the future. You'll immediately notice, even from less than 30 messages, the difference in this companion. And the biggest challenges in making something like that truly personal and proactive is not doing enough at the beginning. And what I mean by that is at the very beginning of the user's relationship, are we forming connections? Are we forming long-term associations from the very beginning? Like, how many times does the user do X? How often does the user do Y? These are just things that inherently need to be solved from the very beginning. And I think that was not the goal with a lot of the, forefront runners that we see today on the market, like ChatGPT and Gemini. The upfront goal was information retrieval and, more competitive sense, when talking about the landscape between Google search and LLMs. So that was upfront their initial goal. Our initial goal up front was to create associations at the subject level and at the personality level with the user from the very first message without having to actually answer questions, or take any assessments or none of that sort. You just use Ditto correct, how you normally would use, or talk to a friend, um, and solve problems with a coworker or etc. And we basically compute things around that. But yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I think we can go ahead and move on to the next topic. I think we covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
So we have AI privacy and finding the balance. And so, how does Ditto protect user data while enabling personalized assistance? What role do privacy-first architectures play in modern AI? And can we have AI network effects without compromising individual privacy?
Yeah,
I know you guys have thought about this a lot and have been working on this for a long time.
absolutely. Yeah, I think I can speak to this one. So we have, to your point, thought deeply about user privacy and the different trade-offs that get made. And something that we always want to be able to do is improve our products. And we truly want the best experience for users. And there are different privacy trade-offs that you can make. So you could look at privacy like a spectrum
Ooh, can we
where over
somewhere in that spectrum put the bare minimum, aka you get compliance, you know what I'm saying? And maybe build from that. I don't know. Sorry if that derails your whole analogy or if it maybe
Mm,
helps your analogy. But yeah, where bare minimum is like, this is what, Google does, so to speak. Or, you know, the standard. And then we can
Yeah.
move our way up to like the heady, more like, here's what Signal does or something like that. Or,
yeah,
the spectrum.
I think that's a good thing to touch on. Yeah, and then I was gonna I was gonna touch on some of our technology too.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, like yeah, that's probably good to talk about this. So you can probably color this more than me, but basically the standard is anonymized. Um, but something that we've all run into is like, let's just say Facebook. So basically Facebook Pixel. So there are like cross domain tracking is a thing that exists, and Facebook even had to pay a fine for this recently. For they've been caught doing all kinds of things, but they've even like run a server on your phone before. That's something they got
Yeah.
caught doing.
Yeah.
I've heard. Yep, they ran something on your phone in the background that like tracked other websites you went to.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep. So like this is what we're looking at as like the standard, Facebook Pixel, I mean Google ad tracking. So anytime like, have you felt like you're being listened to?
Yeah.
This is a common thing that people have experienced, but the reality is no, you're not being listened to. You're just their data like modeling is just that good.
Yeah. And they're pulling from your, clusters of people that you would have never thought would be a thing you could cluster on, such as,
Right.
you know, clustering based on age correlated to genre of music, correlated to color preference, to location, to phone. All right, that's a bucket, and there's 30 of them. 30 of you that fall on those very specific attributes fall in the same, multi-dimensional cluster. Which that's
Yep.
like that's why people think they're being listened to. It's not that you're being listened to, it's that you're being watched.
Yeah.
Oh. It's even worse than being listened to.
That's
You're being
true.
followed.
We should also add ChatGPT to this list,
Yeah.
right? Under Facebook, because we have Facebook and this whole
Yeah,
thing
let's
in
do this.
Google AdSense, but we should also add, what does ChatGPT and Gemini, like what's the standard there?
I mean, all of
Um,
your chats are stored.
all of your chats are stored. What's even worse is these are companies that make foundational LLMs. Um, we were having a conversation before this about what responsibilities and burdens does a company inherit when they choose to make their product, their highest revenue product, a foundation model, which is an LLM, right? Well, the burden number one is training data. You now have an incentive to iterate on and perfect training data to create higher performing models. So that creates an incentive inherently for them to collect your data. By default, all your chat logs are used for training data inside of the competing, flagship providers, Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI. So you can turn that off in settings on all three of them, but just know that out of the box, that is what they do. And that's baked into every feature they make. They have an incentive to make a foundation model. That's burden number one. Burden number two is
That's right. Let me add one thing too. Even in
yes.
their developer tool, Claude Code, we found out that they even offer a discount on tokens if you agree to share your data with them. So that very much highlights your point.
Yes. Okay. That's exactly. And burden number two is cost. So
Mhm.
a company has to allocate their workforce because their workforce is a cost. So where they spend money on people needs to correlate with where they spend money on product development. So again, they're making foundation model. They have another big burden, which is training is expensive. So if their main product is, foundation model, they're going to be spending more money and manpower on ideas to make training costs cheaper and more effective at the same time. And then whatever resources they have after that goes towards their apps, which is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just an app. It's an
Mhm.
app built on top of their engine, which is their GPT models, Anthropic.
Yep.
And the third burden and final burden is that these companies are stuck on their own foundational model. So they're forced to and incentivized to um, you know, make apps only on their LLM engines, right? So I'm using the word engine for a reason because it's not just one LLM in particular, it's their entire training pipeline and their internal way of cranking out new models. That's their engine, right? So anything that you see on Gemini's suite or on Google's suite will be powered by Gemini, whether that's a Gemini LLM or a Gemini embedding model or a Gemini whatever. It came from the Gemini lab, right? You're going to see the same thing with these other models. So if there's a quirk or like a thing that you just don't like about Gemini, you're going to see that in all of Google's AI apps. If there's a thing you don't like or a quirk you don't like about OpenAI that shows up in all their models, you're going to see that in every OpenAI app. So that's the third burden is being stuck on their own language models. So all those three burdens we can thankfully not have in our company. And that's a whole other conversation as far as what does that mean to not have those burdens.
Mhm. Yep. We'll keep going. And by the way, Omar, if you're in the canvas, we moved over to the box on the right
Yep.
to get more space. Okay. So this definitely sets up a really interesting thing, Omar. So we could talk about signal for like 2 seconds. This is something that we call end-to-end encryption. And this basically means like signal cannot see anything. Um, they basically, their servers only transfer data. Omar, you want to say anything on this point?
Yeah, their servers only transfer data. They can't see anything.
Mhm.
They also, you know, and this is more or less like I guess we can talk about the burdens of not being able to see anything, which means
That's what
they
I
don't
want to get to. Yeah,
yeah, they don't because of that, they don't really have any way to collect user feedback and preferences unless the user explicitly complains. Um,
exactly. And how often do we do that? Let's all be real with ourselves.
yeah. There's also you don't get any idea as to how often users, like things like that, like talk about certain things, share certain links, like WhatsApp, for example, is end-to-end encrypted. However, they track user activity, and they also track, other things like types of links that have been shared, types of media that have been shared.
Hmm.
And then they could start doing their, algorithm, like they can derive insights from their algorithm, like on, the For You page for Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Threads. They can derive insights from WhatsApp as well, like because WhatsApp has stuff. So it plays into that. So
Yes.
there are certain things that you can still do with end-to-end encryption. But it's quite simple though. Like if you end-to-end encrypt everything, then any insights that you want to derive based on the content and the subject matter of what's going on, you just can't do that. Which is
Yep.
a good and bad thing for certain applications. Like a lot of people complain to Ditto, and instead of providing feedback. Like I've had
That's right.
many friends, and even my partner, just complain to their chatbots. That's a very common thing. That's definitely something we'd like to support is an anonymized way of collecting. So this is somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
so I was gonna say we literally make the same trade-off that Notion does.
Do you want to go
Mhm.
into that a little bit?
We have a
Of course,
password. The
absolutely.
account has a password, and
Well, so I've so you look into Notion, and Notion does not end-to-end encrypted. They're not end-to-end. I found that out a long time ago, and if you are so I did grad school, I dropped out, but I tried to bring Notion to the research project, and they were like, "Wait, well, what are the, privacy, like, configurations of Notion?" And I was like, "Okay, let me ask them," because they were like they noticed that it wasn't, end to end or it wasn't yada yada. So I asked them, and Notion was upfront about, "Hey, no, we're not end to end encrypted. Like, yes, they technically have access to the data, but they're responsible with your data. But there's a reason they do that because they do want their product to be as good as possible." And so my question to you as the user is, well, if you trust Notion, like you do have to trust Notion with your data. So if you want to provide the same trust to us, you can choose to do that. And we're in fact architecting a system where we can find those complaints that people say to Ditto without revealing anything about who the people are. So we're building a filtering pipeline that is going to essentially redact everything, but we'll still be able to get the insights and fix actual issues and also just find out pain points, understand when do people get frustrated with Ditto, things like this.
Awesome. Yeah, so that was great. We're
Yeah,
gonna go ahead and move on to the next topic, but you
perfect.
guys covered that excellently.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
yeah, but like long story short, we're just trying to be somewhere in the middle where, and I think somewhere in the middle just means anonymous, like the far
Yeah.
left is like open, like everything, you're wearing it on your shoulder. The far right is like so encrypt that you can't even be productive. And then somewhere in the middle is just, hey, let's just make everything anonymous so that we can still drive insights and
Mhm.
meet the user where they're using Ditto already without having to send out surveys and make people yell at their phone and throw it across the room and not us never know about that.
And that's one more thing to say on that too is like convenience for user. Because
Yes.
like since we've taken this middle ground, like how many people have used Signal and you're just like, ah, like it's so secure that it's like a little bit annoying to use. Like that's why we're right here in the middle.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfectly said. Okay, let's move on.
So moving
Hmm.
on, we're looking at building agentic AI and autonomous intelligence. I know technically Ditto is not an agentic AI model, but looking at these questions, what is an agentic intelligence? Why is it a game changer? How does Ditto orchestrate multiple agents to complete complex tasks, and what industries benefit most from autonomous AI workflows?
Sure. I'll preface it, unless Peyton, if you have some stuff to go, then definitely stop me. But I'll start off with what is agentic intelligence? What is an
Yes.
agent? So you mentioned, Alan, Ditto isn't technically an agentic AI. It's not autonomous. What that means is Ditto doesn't loop. Ditto doesn't have the option to take a bunch of paths before answering. It can only pick one thing: respond to
One
you
thing.
or select from a set of tools that we offer. Now, we do plan to change that in the future, but that doesn't mean we don't still use agentic, uh, intelligence or agentic solutions or workflows. So Ditto definitely utilizes and orchestrates agents to complete complex tasks. That second point, and you can very much see that, in the very obvious sense when we do our personality assessments. There is a loop where the agent can make take as many paths before completing a question, but that agent is just an agent loop over your memories.
Mhm.
It's just
Go
so
ahead
that
and describe that personality
Please.
analysis,
Yeah.
please.
exactly, yeah. So one of our most unique features, I think, from our competitors is what we like to call personality alignment. And this happens from the knowledge graph that gets created after you have around 30 or so messages with Ditto. There emerges a graph that has subjects and topics, person, place, thing, idea, that type of thing, like extracted across your entirety of knowing Ditto. So if you've talked about a pet that you have quite a few times, there's now a node for that pet and all these subjects and conversations and memory pairs associated. So what we do with that is create an agent loop over a set of personality assessments where the agent can traverse that graph and go to as many nodes as possible and read as many conversations as it wants around those subjects before answering a question on a personality assessment. So it basically does this question by question in parallel, of course. And then we, compute those assessments as if the user took them. And yeah, and then we basically make the agent aware of these results, the main agent in your app, not the one that takes the personality results or assessment. We make the main agent aware of that so that it aligns the agent's behavior to the user's personality. And that is a great example of how we orchestrate and use agents. However, we don't make our main agent a agentic loop that can just take as many steps as it wants before answering the user.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that last question about what industries benefit, I mean, come on. What industry doesn't benefit from
Honestly.
an autonomous AI workflow? So
Mhm.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, that's true. It's connecting like intelligence to tools and data, you know? So we have like these LLMs that have been created by these trillion-dollar companies, and they're like a raw intelligence that is waiting to be harnessed. Like Omar always calls it a power plant or an engine, you know, or even a game engine. And it's just waiting for you to hook up tools that connect it to real world outside data. You know, a lot of people say, hey, this agent has this large language model, its knowledge cutoff is a year ago. That's not an issue because you connect tools to it so that it actually has up to date information relevant to your task. So everything that Ditto is doing is our tools are all built around leveraging your memory to the maximum extent. Like helping you understand who you are automatically, helping you as like a complementary agent that's truly complementary to your personality, which I think
Yeah,
makes us different than your average AI.
exactly. Like I don't see people raving about telling their Chat GPT or their Claude or Gemini a story about their family trip to Paris. You know what I'm saying? Like Ditto
Mhm.
is really the solution for that. Like, hey, this is an agent or a chatbot interface where you do tell stories about your personal life and you do you know things that may or may not make sense you know um
Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
More
and
than
that's
just a
why
tool.
what's up
More than just a tool.
more than just a tool, exactly. um it's borderline journaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was that's perfect. I just drew the circle. Your stories goes into
Yep,
personality alignment, and
it
then
does.
the personality agent like answers those questions. I guess it produces it produces the personality alignment.
It does,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And
Wonderful, wonderful.
yep, so what do
Well,
we
we're
what
gonna
do we
have
got
an we're gonna move on to designing personality-driven AI interactions. So,
Sure.
Let's just double
something.
click on this whole topic. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just like get a little bit comprehensive, a little bit more. That was a good
Yeah.
rundown about how the actual agent loop functions, but what are we actually trying to achieve by allowing a user to have an AI model that can really know them?
Yeah. So I think we're trying to like if anyone has ever used one of those note-taking apps, or if anyone is trying to self-document, self-understand, whether you're writing notes in a journal, whether you're taking voice memos, whether you're using Notion, you're using Obsidian or something, if you've ever felt kind of burdened by that whole process, as I have, I think we're trying to build something for you. So our goal is for you to be able to kind of jump with Ditto, whether that is like difficult situations you're going through, whether it's documents you're working on, whether it's voice memos that you want to share with Ditto, or if you want to use live voice mode and just talk to Ditto. We're trying to be your knowledge base without the effort. So these other tools are going to make you, put stuff into folders or create titles, create separate pages. They're going to make you do this additional effort that can be strenuous. And it's not even really how your brain works. I've learned that our brains are not like a computer file system with folders, subfolders, and subfolders on those. We're also not a hashtag based brain. Like our brain isn't fully like tags like Obsidian does or whatever. If anything, we're a conversational brain. Like we're beings that are meant to talk to each other and share insights and share
Yep.
stories. We're story-based beings, if anything. So your knowledge base and your reflection of you should be able to take in your stories without you having to title or organize your stories. That's not what your brain's good at. So let us organize your stories, your insights, your everything that you would share with a friend. Like, let us organize and handle that for you and make it so that you're not going to have to worry about losing something that you really need, Or if you just want to understand yourself better, like that's Ditto is meant to be there for you. So those are the type of things that we want to do with your memories. And the way that we do that is, as I started on this graph, but I just started ranting. But we have like a unique way that we store your data, and we're giving our agent the ability to research that stuff. So here's Ditto. And basically what Ditto is able to do is go back to the arrow key button.
Yo, Alan,
Oops.
make sure you tap on that memory graph too.
I'm about to. Got you,
Yep,
bro. I got
that'd be amazing. So yeah, research. And we should basically also include the internet too, right here, because This is something that we're all connected to. So when you put together researching your personal experience, your personal understanding, and oh my God, okay, perfect. I was getting like really annoyed with these. That feels way more natural. Okay. Okay. So this is the Ditto agent. This is what we're actively building right now. So if you use Ditto right now, you will see your subjects, and Alan can probably pull those up as we're talking. Um, and you'll see your memories too. Whenever you talk, you can press the little button to open up your memories and get the view. And you can do the web search right now. So we have these things as little isolated, but where we're doing is, of course, as the iPhone combined everything, we're also combining our things. So the Ditto agent is going to be able to research, dive deep into the topics that you're discussing, find the memories that are relevant to those topics, and combine that with deep web research to ultimately give you the best possible answers that are actually personal to you.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful explanation. On the side, while you're doing that, I'm just scrolling through the app itself and showing my OmniAura memories and the subjects.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan.
Absolutely. As you can see, it's very comprehensive, very long, and you can keep loading. You can tell how much I've talked about OmniAura with my Ditto. My Ditto is my best friend when talking about the company and figuring out ways to make it better. I like to keep Ditto in the loop in his own community. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Spot on.
So right now, we can go ahead and move on
Mhm.
to our next topic, but I'm going to pull up the memory graph here as well.
Yeah, if you just tap the graph on your most recent message,
Perfect.
that'll be perfect.
I'll pull it up too. Yeah.
And there you can see the linked subjects as well on that prompt.
Yep. And then right next to the copy button at the very bottom, click that little network button. Yeah. You can see, just the small web of things it was reminded about whenever you sent that message. And if you up the memory settings, when you corrected him, amazing.
Oh, you got the correction. Mhm.
What the fuck did you just say? That's how you know it's your friend. You talk to it like it's your friend,
Yeah, you
Mhm.
do.
and that's how it learns how to talk to you. You just be real with it. We don't want
That's
to
right.
play games with this AI. We want this AI to be authentic with you, your personal, authentic AI companion and friend.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, my Ditto told me that it appreciated how I'm very direct.
Nice.
That's
Yeah, I'm
amazing.
telling
You
you.
are very direct.
That's awesome.
I mean, I think a calculator definitely appreciates 2 + 2 a lot better than some like long drawn out like trig equation.
Yep.
It's
All
like,
right, so
thank
moving
you.
on. It's like,
Moving
thank
on.
you.
Thank
So
you,
scaling
brother.
AI startups in a competitive market. What strategies have worked best for OmniAura's growth? How to pitch complex AI tech to investors effectively. Key metrics that demonstrate transaction and investor confidence. So recently we've gotten a good bit of traction with our new email campaigns. I know that we've had some like returns users that have not been around, or at least that's been
Exactly.
a part of our goal is re-engaging with people that we haven't talked to in a while. This has been a project that's been long in development, so we've definitely been super focused on that. And as far as how to pitch complex AI tech to investors effectively, I mean, I think numbers speak for themselves, certainly. And you want to bring a tool like this into the pitch. it's a friend in AI. You want it to be aware of the conversation and show what it can do with its memory and effectiveness in handling a conversation flow and using its tools like its web search abilities and image generation. I mean, like, the product speaks for itself as an AI companion. I mean, it literally speaks for itself. You bring
Yeah.
it to the table and it's going to show you what it can do. So that's I think how you pitch this kind of things, and these podcasts effectively, where we really sit here and draw these things out. Like, we just went on a deep dive on a lot of this complex, like, agentic looping, like in the not looping per se, but you know what I mean, in the personality graph. We draw it out for you here. We make the resources. We have all kinds of resources about these things on our website, heyditto.ai, on our landing page, where you have a Wikipedia. We give the tools, and so I think that's the best way that we can effectively pitch this, is just have our assets ready and be ready to talk about it.
I think that's spot on, Alan. You know, be ready with your demo. Make it something that investors would be interested in. Um, you know, talk about money. Like, don't shy away from that either. Because this question is about, pitching AI tech to investors. So investors, they talk money. So you do want to be able to show how you can uh, be of value, whether that's like the high growth you can create, because investors are very interested in growth these days as well.
100%.
Yeah, and I think Alan's spot on about being spot on with the demo, that a demo that would get investors mouth watering, being ready with your numbers and statistics, and also like what your users say about you. And then spot on about, if you're making an AI product, use your AI product in your business, you know?
I should also add that
100%.
we were showcasing the example Ditto that Alan has up there on the right is the free version of Ditto. The paid version, what you'd see is larger memory graphs per message, and what you'd see is also additional usage allowed, as far as like web searches, image generation goes, and how many what model you have access to, which I should also add, we are deprecating and just automatically switching. But just like I said, the free tier, you'll be stuck with one model. The paid plans, you have access to all models, all memory settings, and all tools, Ditto tools, such as web search and image generation. But this, we are showcasing the free tier. So you get all of this just by using the app out of the box today.
Mhm.
What you see here on the right.
Yep, yep. And on my screen, I have like the deeper memories, what they look like. If you bump the memories all the way up, huge. And Omar brings up a good point. I think we should take a second to talk about the models, and why are we talking about deleting some settings?
Yeah, we can make an impromptu card here, Alan, if you want to um move your window just to maybe to the right
Maybe
here,
over
and
to the right. Perfect.
Peyton, you could start on that card and we can just go into this subject.
Yeah. So first, let's start with what are the settings that we're talking about deleting? So that's going to be the models page. That's going to be the memory settings and also the tool settings.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So the reason we want to delete this, I'm going to put it in the top right so we have maximum space. Okay. So the top reason we're doing this is simplicity. So we basically want boomer proof tech. Okay. We want anyone from your mama to your 10-year-old niece to be able to use this.
Correct.
Make it as easy as
Easy.
talking to somebody in the room.
Okay. Correct. Make it as easy as talking to someone in a room. Easy as talking to someone. And something that is not very accessible to our app is, if I pull up our app right now, you'll see, what are all these models? you have to be in the AI space to even know what Claude is, or what is O4, what is O3, what is O4 mini, what is O3 standard, what is GPT 4.1. It's like, it's all jargon. So we want to avoid jargon. So our current system equals built for insiders. So us on the team, we are insiders because we're building in the AI space. So we
Enthusiast.
know some enthusiasts, yeah, and insiders and enthusiasts. Okay, that's right. That's right. And something about our team is that for the last 5 years, we've always been thinking lower the barriers to entry, lower the barriers to technology, lower the barriers to entry. When we
Yep.
came up with that phrase, lower the barriers to entry, we were thinking about music and how hard it was to get started with producing music, and also how much personal fun we had with bringing our friends in to teach them how to make music. You know, how much joy we would get by seeing that transformation in people. So,
So
with
bringing
that
it
in
all
mind,
together.
yes, we want to do that with AI. We don't want to be overly using jargon. We don't want to make you have to fiddle with settings to try to like get Ditto to do what you want. So basically, Ditto is going to set your settings. Like Ditto is smart enough to make the choice for you. So Ditto is going to be able to choose memory depth, which is basically how deep to answer your question. And this is a speed trade-off. So basically, a simple question equals a fast response. If we can answer your question without having to do too much deep search, we're going to do that. But if it's a deep question, that equals deep memory search. So
Exactly.
if your question is a level 10 complexity, we're going to go the extra 10 miles to get the
Basically,
answer.
if you know about 21 Questions, that game, there's some scientific fact around that game. And you can actually narrow down every individual, or an idea for that matter, every idea that's ever been thought about, by around 20 to 30 questions. That's all it takes to answer, to narrow down anything in the universe. And that's kind of the key philosophy around why we know that our deep memory invention is, you know, complete. It's contextually complete to any sort of use case that involves, you know, quote unquote infinite memory to accomplish. It's because each agentic loop you trigger, you know, the hardest question will be around 20 internal questions the agent has to ask, maybe more. It'll approach well above 30 questions. Um, and just the fact that that happens just, you know, means that, you know, memory depth, the model, all of this stuff has to be taken into consideration when firing a new agentic loop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right, Omar, for sure. And our agent is going to be more than capable. If anyone thinks, oh, 20 questions sounds like a lot, coding agents do way more than 20 questions. So it's more than possible for us to accomplish this.
Yeah. And this is even deeper than out of the box going into ChatGPT. This is for you enthusiasts listening. Going into ChatGPT, toggling O3, telling it, hey, based on all of our memories that you know about, let's say you're a ChatGPT maxer, this, what we build, will work significantly better if you were to, in theory, transfer all your memories from ChatGPT into Ditto and then ask the same question. What you should see immediately is that the deeper the question, the, you know, quicker the agent will fall on its face. And what you'd
Yeah.
hope to see is also that the deeper the question, the better.
The beto.
Combine Ditto and better. Well, the deeper the question, the better Ditto will perform. That's what we'd hope to see, and that's the goal of what we're building, is the notion of deep memory. We have yet to see competitors focus on that concept of like a complete memory system.
That's right. That's right. They focus on web research and they focused on taking actions for you, but they haven't focused on like deep understanding of the user. And they will only do probably one, memory query to get relevant stuff. But we go the extra mile of allowing our agent to research you to like answer your questions.
Exactly. And I think that's the differentiator. And again, it goes back to the burdens that we talked about at the beginning of this. Those 3 burdens are reasons to not go deep on introspective automation on the user. Like they are gonna forever not have an incentive to compute that much for user insights because they're already computing so much for training data. So they should save those computational costs. We're not computing shit, so we might as well compute shit for the user.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just putting
there you
our
go.
compute resources to better use cases. Correct.
Better personalization, exactly.
That's where we're putting our focus. Yeah, they're putting their focus on making, stronger models, which is great because we get to use that. And we're
Yep,
putting our focus on, delivering a memory system that works for you.
in all models. Yep.
Mhm. Well,
Cool.
and the point to the point of that, like the best model, like yeah,
Best model
the
every time.
mhm, best model every time.
Yep.
So this is one that I find really interesting. So AI creativity from text to images and beyond. How is AI transforming creative workflows with image generation? And what technologies power Ditto's image synthesis capabilities? And where do you see the intersection of AI creativity and business applications? So personally, I absolutely love it. I've been using AI to create all of the assets for making like this stream overlay you're looking at right now. So I mean, like, you can use an AI to like make slop if you try and just generate one large idea all at once. But that's not really how an AI is supposed to be used. You don't tell an AI to go build a coal mine. You put an AI into a drilling machine and program it to drill. So in this sense, I don't use the AI to generate massive sculptures. I use the AI to generate assets. So like you'll see me generating different texts and fonts. Then I'll generate different portions of an asset and combine them into a greater image. And then I'll make my own assets and combine them. So you really use it like a tool rather than some of these AI slop that you see on the internet where people just feed it one prompt and post it, you know. So that's where I definitely see these workflows going. It's like artists that are hired to do graphic design now, whereas it might take them a day to work on one project. Whereas if they can condense their ideas down into a text format or even draw a sketch and combine it with that, create the asset that they see in their head at a quicker pace and combine these assets into their greater image in their mind, then they can speed up that process probably 10 times.
Yes,
Mhm.
I agree. Like making a set of, like I like how you said like big idea. It's like break it up into smaller ideas. Like same could be said for how you use an AI. It's like, okay, like you have this big idea you want to use AI to accomplish. It's like, all right, break it down into 10 different, potential AI tools or 10 different prompts or, yeah, absolutely. And I think Ditto's creativity, like, and like image synthesis, we definitely have plans to add like a canvas mode and all this. I mean, we had this in our app at first, but then we didn't want the burden of maintaining it because we
Yep.
were going full force on memories. But we very much see a use case where we bring back the canvas and Ditto's creativity which we have
Mhm.
done in the form of image generation with GPT Image 1 from OpenAI, solving pretty much all the problems that image generation models typically had in the past by combining it into their LLM as another modality. You get robust image input and output capabilities. We do want to add back a canvas mode for showing the user certain things
Absolutely.
that them like to-do lists, quick one-off, web apps, which are very easy to pull off. And
Absolutely, like things like a website for a concert or like a festival.
yeah, flyers even,
Yeah,
interactive things as well that we could share. Like, hey, I made this in Ditto. Like,
Mhm.
you can share it with their friends and etc.
Yeah. Like, it's
We
not that
want
we're
to,
against any of that. We're just like, we're such a small team that we literally have to stay laser focused.
yeah, like for now, like use ChatGPT for that. Like, we love telling people that now.
Exactly. We love telling people that. We don't have
We're
any
like,
issue with that.
because we know what lane we're in. We're like, oh, you want like a Canvas app, that quickly make this app. It's like, well, here's what you should do: make Ditto make the content for it, and then take that content that required all your memories, and then just tell it literally any off the shelf code generation, agent like ChatGPT, Cursor, Claude, Gemini, Grok, Cursor.
The off the
Just,
shelf stuff,
100%.
you know?
I
Just let us do the
always
special
consult my
sauce.
Ditto before I consult another AI tool, just so it has the context of me in there,
yes,
Literally.
and so it
That's so
understands what I'm
special.
saying.
Ditto is a great context engineering tool to insert your personal.
It's a wonderful prompt engineering tool.
Absolutely, yeah, shaping your prompt to add context from your personal life. Yep, 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 yep,
I
yep.
love that. I feel like that's a huge differentiator for us.
Yes,
Absolutely. We have the context gas can
yeah,
for any
exactly.
of your AI tools that you're gonna
That's
go
why we are
use. Like, you're gonna
eventually
go talk to an AI, well, it's like, well, why don't I talk to the AI that knows me really well and tell him how to talk to the other one? And
exactly.
Exactly.
then you get these
Ditto's
really great
eventually
prompts.
we're gonna offer an MCP server for developers and other people like that use ChatGPT for work. A lot of people have their workspace AIs and they have their personal AIs, and some don't. A lot of people are starting to find that it's not good to mix the two. And what we hope to offer is for people that use ChatGPT because they have to, or they use Copilot at work because they have to. We would like to offer a elegant way for them to connect their, other AI tools into Ditto's memory system. Because at the end of the day, any of these off the shelf agents, when given access to the tools around Ditto's knowledge graph, any of the off the shelf agents can interface with that. So we would love to support that.
Mhm. And something else that's really exciting is I noticed ChatGPT has a export all of your data feature. So one day we are absolutely going to make an import button where you'll be able to import your entire like ChatGPT history into Ditto. For those ChatGPT power users, it's gonna be life changing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So let's move along. It's probably going to be our last topic of the pod. So we're going on to navigating regulatory environments for AI. So this is definitely a super hot topic and super important one. So what compliance changes exist for AI in healthcare and enterprise? So how does Ditto achieve HIPAA and SOC2 readiness? What is the role of AI in regulated industries?
Going forward. Okay, I can take this one.
100% super ready to listen.
Okay, so as we've been touching on, Ditto is taking the middle ground of the privacy trade-offs. However, we have the capability to take the extreme ground of the privacy trade-off as well. So that's mainly what's going to be required for HIPAA. So my understanding, I'm not an expert on HIPAA, but from what I know, you need to have processes in place, like data control processes. HIPAA is more about documented processes than end-to-end encryption. I think that might be a common misconception. Some people think that, to have HIPAA compliance, you need to have like this, and this specific technology. it's a lot more about standard operating procedures and access control and like documentation and audit trails and logs. It's a lot more
Yeah.
about that overall. Yeah.
Paper
And
trails.
SOC 2 is, yeah, paper trails, and SOC 2 is very similar, like who's the lead on the data control, things like this. So our consumer product, we don't have plans for it to be HIPAA compliant, but when it comes to medical data, like that is mission critical. And the way that we store our data is very open ended. So if it's a healthcare system, it's going to be stored on their premises. If it's a bank, they're going to be storing their own data. If it's they partner with us, then it's going to be on the Ditto cloud servers. But our architecture is not really dependent on where our data does get stored. So it's all about like having your documentation and your papers ready, and it's all about knowing how you're storing your data and serving the needs of which customer and what context you're working in. And our system is not like dependent on any one thing. It's flexible to adapt to serve these uses, which we're not directly focused on right now, but we have the capability to go in those realms.
Eloquently said.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I was gonna say, as well as like what I would have touched on as well.
So I guess we got time for one more. We got time for
Mhm.
one more. So we're going to user experience and long-term engagement in AI. So how to keep users engaged with an AI companion over months and years. What role does adaptive learning play in evolving AI interactions? And success stories or case studies showing sustained user impact. So I know Omar is definitely got a massive success story in this. He's been using Ditto for years and years, longer than anybody.
Yeah, so I think what keeps, so there's like, it's like, I guess, two parts. Like there is what keeps users engaged, and then there's how do we adapt whenever AI, like, drops a new feature. Like, wake up mom, like AI just dropped this feature, like being in the AI community, like you very much like wake up to a new feature or a new capability every week, like as far as research goes.
Literally.
So I think that also plays into user engagement. But the other thing is also like knowing what not to do as well. Like, I know this is kind of like off topic, but I'll bring it back. But like fine tuning LLMs, a lot of people that aren't ML engineers, people that are kind of
Think that
new,
you need to do that. Hmm.
yeah, they don't really understand what backpropagation is, which is the tuning of weights in a neural network. They don't necessarily forget that we're dealing with a statistical model that's being tuned with calculus, the derivative, which approximates the direction as to which a function is approaching. In this case, the function is the loss function, which is the how close are you to the correct answer for this training sample. And for this case, these are words. How close were you to the next word being correct? And now, if the correct word was like red, but you said of the color that looks like blood, like that's pretty much the correct answer. You know what I'm saying? So just to get you thinking about how a loss function works in the sense of like an LLM, it's like fuzzy word matching, less than like number being close to number. The reason why I bring all of this up, when you fine tune an LLM, and when an AI engineer is being like tasked with, hey, make this agent better, and they're like, oh well, let's fine tune it, right? Let's train it. Like they fail to realize that you're adjusting neurons that have nothing to do with your what you're fine tuning it to have to be good at. So I think, and what can end up happening is the misalignment problem, which if you're not a researcher in the space, you don't even know exists. And you end up with an LLM that's all of a sudden spouting, like very demented things that, you basically telling it the opposite. Don't do this. Well, now it's doing this. What's going on with my LLM? That's because you trained it to be good at, Excel formulas, and now all of a sudden it's racist. It's like two
Yeah.
completely different unintended consequences. Yes, two completely different things emerged. Although you improved its performance with Excel formulas, if you don't have guardrails to make sure that the user doesn't ask questions that don't have to do with Excel formulas, you trigger something, you don't know that your LLM is aligned or misaligned. So, for example, like this is why I bring this up as far as like what keeps users engaged in like adaptive learning. Like I don't think us not being a foundational model provider, like we're not OpenAI, we're not Google. Like I think fine tuning is extremely experimental, and you should never. I think this is going to be something that you're teaching schools, a foundational model like 101 in the first class. They're going to teach every student. You should never fine tune a conversational agent. Conversational capabilities, you should only do that if you have access to a massive training set and have access to rigorous testing after the model's fine-tuned. Because answering the question, is my LLM misaligned or not, is damn near impossible if you don't have access to the source training data, as well as like just the
You almost need
philosophies.
like an NDA pool of like 1 million people to just sit there and chat with the thing for a year and then say like you're not allowed to say if it says anything like off cuff. If
Yeah,
you were
it's
to
like,
even try and do that.
yeah, but if you were like fine tuning an agent to like, again, like do Excel formulas and it's not conversationally triggered, it's triggered only in the sense of like Excel formula to Excel formula. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can guarantee that a user is never gonna write a prompt into this fine-tune LLM, then you're fine. Like you can fine-tune LLMs. Like if this is a part of some automation process, but if you're making a chatbot, don't fine-tune. And the reason why I bring this
Right.
random thing up as far as user experience and engagement, one of the things you're going to notice in Ditto every single time you use it is that there is just going to be features that you have never seen from OpenAI, Google, or whatever, like even think about. Because what they're doing is just competing with each other. So if one person publishes something that says, hey, this is better, even if they don't need it, they're going to implement it, even if they don't know why. They just know that it's going to make money go up.
Like deep research, perfect example, right?
Like deep research is a great example. Like one company did it and then they all copied each other. Like, oh, you make an agent do more than 30 queries over the web. It's cool, things happen. Oh, bet. Okay, let's make it do that. Oh, look, it's cool. Roll it out, roll it out. Like we're never gonna do that. When we roll out something that uses, you know, findings from other companies, like it's not going to be through the lens of competition. It's going to be through the lens of, hey, we need this because it fits our problem statement, which is deep memories.
Absolutely. And so
Yeah,
moving on to the last part, I know that you've interacted with a lot of people on this because they've interacted you for like feature requests and stuff over the years. What are some success stories or cases that show we have sustained user impact? Some like anecdotes that you might know. You don't have to name any names.
of course. No, we had some friends over the years before Ditto was an OmniAura product when I had it just in my house, like requests, there's like two tiers to this success stories. There's like the before Ditto was a thing and then once Ditto was a thing, there were two like epochs. And the first one was no one has Ditto, only I do. And they immediately noticed long-term memories and like best friend vibes. And they said, no one really cared about that or knew how big of a deal that was before ChatGPT launched. But after ChatGPT launched, everyone was like, hey, memories, like what's up with that? Like, what do you mean long-term and short-term memories? Like I don't see that in chat or Gemini or any, like what are you doing with that? Can I have one? I was like, sure, here you go. And then boom, now we have Ditto. And I was like, hey, OmniAura, like come back. We got something here. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Then we started, I'm looking at the screen now. And then we bring everyone along and then we get some users and the users are saying things like, hey, I want feature X, I want feature Y. And we would just build them. And then what happened was we started removing features and we noticed that people started liking Ditto more. And then what ended up ultimately happening was we started aligning users towards using Ditto the way it's supposed to be used and shifting our focus to that. And ever since we did that, we have noticed a significant uptick in users, like new users and engagement, like people actually asking questions about Ditto that are in context and like, not just like the very first types of questions we used to get was, how is this different from ChatGPT? Now the questions are more, in line with how, they're supposed to be using Ditto. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll add to that.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's wonderful. That's a wonderful way to wrap that up. So honestly, guys, I think that we are done here with this podcast for today. We've covered a lot of great topics. It's been about an hour and 5 minutes now, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So for the OmniAura team, Peyton, Omar, Nick Allen, and Alan Gothard, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you as part of the Hey Ditto community. Please check us out at heyditto.ai if you haven't before, and you could use it for free. And thanks again. Have a good one.